1, 2. 1, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we could just ask you just to filter outside, there's going to be a flight past with guards. Well, first of all, welcome to the memorial service of Gavin Brown. My name is Gareth Williamson, and I have the privilege of hosting the service here today. May I ask, we do have some chairs out in front if you want to come and be seated in the front. There are some open chairs, the first row on the left, your right. Great. I'd also like to welcome the online community and everyone that's joining us via live stream. Really thank you for taking the time to be a part of this service today. I would like to ask, at the request of the family, that you put your phones on silent or on aeroplane mode. Well, on behalf of Steve and Carl and Gavin's longtime partner Rose, I would like to thank you all for not just making the time to be here today, but really for your support, your love, your care, and really ultimately just your love that you've shown the family over the past few weeks. The purpose of this service today is to honor and celebrate the life of Gavin Brown. It provides a space where we can pause from the busyness of our lives and celebrate a life well lived. It provides us an opportunity to receive healing and closure from the loss we have experienced, while lastly, it's a time to come together as family and friends to offer support and love to the family, while also receiving love and support during this difficult time. And so I'd like to open the service with a moment of silence. A moment of silence allows us to stop and honor Gavin Brown. And I invite you to take a moment to reflect on fond memories that you may have, funny stories that you may have shared with Gavin. I know there were a lot of them. But if we can just bow our heads and just reflect on that. Thank you. Well, I can see a few smiles as you reminisce, a few more tears, and that's ultimately what silence does, is it makes us aware of what we're feeling. Well, I'd like to open up my tribute to Gavin Brown, and then we'll get to the eulogies, and we have a whole exciting ceremony planned. But really, in preparing for this memorial, I had the privilege of sitting with some of Gavin's closest friends, as well as family members, and was able to get a front row seat to hear the background stories to the life of Gavin. And in reflection and preparing for this moment, there were some attributes that I really drew upon, some characteristics about Gavin that really summed up who he was. And I'm going to just name 5 that I came across, and I'm sure you'll agree with these 5, and I'm sure there are many more that you can add. But one of the attributes was Gavin was a faithful friend. I love my time talking to Yapi and hearing the stories of how they met in 1971, how they were coming on 50 years of friendship. And one of the things that Yapi said was, no matter the ups and downs, no matter the changes of life, Gavin remained a faithful friend. And I know there are so many other friends and friendships that Gavin had that are here today, and you can really speak to the fact of Gavin's faithfulness as a friend. The second attribute which I found to be incredible was Gavin's constant positive outlook on life. It was very clear. Donna, Gavin's sister, shared with me last night how even in the last 8 months, the most difficult times, Gavin always had a smile on his face. No matter what hurdles he faced, No matter what challenges he faced, he always overcame them with a positive mindset. What an incredible attribute to have, especially in the days and times that we're living in. And he would always say the words when he was asked how he was, he would always say he's 120%. 120%. And then Gavin was generous. A wise man once said, the value of a man resides in what he gives and not in what he is capable of receiving. Gavin Brown was generous with his time. He was generous with his advice. He was generous with his business mind. And he was generous financially. And then the second last attribute was Gavin was a great dad. And being the cousin of Steve and Kyle, I was able to witness Gavin as a father. And I can honestly stand amazed at the dad he was. And in the words of Donna again, Steve and Kyle were the light of his world, the light of his life. And I love this quote that just sums it up so well by Brian Herbert. It says, how will I be remembered by my children? This is the true measure of a man. How will I be remembered by my children? This is the true measure of a man. And you're going to hear Steve and Kyle come and share their eulogy a little later, but really that testifies to the man that Gavin was. And then the last attribute and characteristic of Gavin that came up in my conversations with Kyle, was that Gavin was spiritual. And he valued spirituality. And in his own private way, he is deeply connected with spiritual things. And it's ultimately from this place that we find our place in the world. It's from this place that life begins to make a lot more sense. And I love this quote on what spirituality is. Spirituality is not a religion or a dogma. It is a way of being in the world, a way of connecting with the divine within ourselves and others. And Gavin was spiritual, which really spoke to me. And I could honestly go on about so many of the other characteristics of Gavin. The fact that he was loyal, that he was caring, that he had a soft heart. One of the stories was when he was young, he took his pellet gun and shot a bird. And to his shock, afterwards, apparently he took it straight to his mom. Please, can you resuscitate and bring this bird back to life? And apparently that was the last bird he's ever shot. But he had an incredibly caring heart. And the truth is, I could go on, and there's so many stories that you are still going to hear that sum up who Gavin Brown was. But I'm thankful for these attributes and these characteristics because they really challenged me to be a better person. And that's what this is all about. And so I'd like to end with this poem that I came across and I found to be fitting in this moment. And it reads, up, up and away. Like a bird you took to the sky, soaring high as if to defy. Gravity's pull you flew with ease, on wings of steel through the breeze. You traveled far, you traveled wide, from sea to shining sea you'd glide. Above the clouds you found your peace, a place where all your worries ceased. Now you've flown beyond our sight, into the vast and endless night. But we know you're not truly gone, your spirit lives on and on. So fly, dear friend, fly away, into the light of a brand new day, and know that we will always be forever grateful that you flew free. Amen. I'd like to introduce Rose, who's going to start off the eulogies. Rose is Gavin's longtime partner.
I'd just like to thank everybody that are here for the very kind messages that have been sent and the kind words for Stevie and Kyle and all the beautiful flowers. My sweetie pie. Although we only had 9 years together, we filled them, and I will have enough memories to see me through. Saturday was your day at playgroup, a term I coined years ago. As I always said, it was just grown boys playing with very expensive toys. But Sunday was our day to go for breakfast, either on the bike, in one of the minis or the cars, or even to fly in somewhere. Our trips we took to Italy, Greece, Thailand, let alone the numerous road trips, always the road less traveled, through South Africa, have left me with a plethora of memories. You embraced my passion for the bush and the love and peace and serenity it brought you. You fought a tough battle. Your suffering is over, and you have left your battered body. Thank you for being part of my life, and I am truly honored to have been loved by you. You shall forever be in my heart. I love you. Fly free, sweetie pie.
Carl and Steve. Steve's just finishing his speech.
So now what we're going to do. Thanks. Hi everyone. I'm going to do my best. What one man can accomplish in a lifetime. We remember our dad, like most, a generous man who would go out of his way to help anyone who needed a hand up or guidance through what life had to throw their way. But to single out a story that really puts a spotlight on what who my father was and the true ambition he had to start at our dining room table. See, my dad had a love for flying. I'm sure you might have noticed. But his vision didn't always look this clear. As most of you know, dreams need to start somewhere. For my dad, they started around our dining room table. I remember weekend after weekend, Dad would build model airplanes, just like the one in my hand. Shit. I knew I forgot something. Ah, damn it. Do we have one? Right there, in the cabinet. Oh man, that's hilarious. Sorry. That would have been epic. Just like the one in my hand. He would spend hours and hours, and when I say hours, I mean weeks, meticulously gluing and painting every tiny detail onto these model airplanes to make sure they were absolutely perfect, and most importantly, historically accurate. That was the most important thing to him. We were kids, and at this point we had no idea that this was the start of my father's dream. Knowing that he could never be an airline pilot because of color blindness, my dad had to find another way to get to his dream. He did many things, from working as an auditor during the day and studying at night, to get his accounting degree, to running a brickyard, and even growing flowers for Woolworths. All of these experiences eventually led him to start his own business with his good friend Dev, who's here today. He's not blind, those are just his glasses. Even through the madness of starting a brand new business, every weekend he would dedicate some time for his model airplanes. But as time went by and he slowly built reinforced hosing into the business that it is today, he spent less and less time. Shit. Yeah, I get it. As he slowly turned reinforced hosing into the successful business as it is today, he spent less and less time around the dining room table and more time right here, in his happy place, turning those tiny models into reality with his close friends and, of course, my brother Stevie right by his side. So it makes you ask yourself, what can one man accomplish in one lifetime? This is the hard part right here. Parents are important when we're growing up. But if we're lucky enough, they can become our friends when we grow up. I was lucky enough to become friends with my dad in the last 4 years of his life. We found common ground in business, and he became my mentor. Oh, thanks. Give me a sec. And he became my mentor. I could call him anytime, and he would answer, just happy that I called. He would patiently talk me through, thanks, any problem, I can't see now, any problem I had, or anything I didn't understand or struggled to grasp, which, to be honest, was a lot in the beginning. This is something I'll miss every day, but I'll carry every word he said to me and while I try and find my own happy place. Thank you.
Mine's not as hard-hitting as that one. It should be, but it's not. Thanks, Carl. First of all, it's written at the bottom, but I need to start off with it. I need to thank my mom for the support that she's given us through this time, and to Rose for everything she did for my dad in the last 8 months. That's the important part. At the tender age of 2 weeks old, I was put in the back seat of my dad's Cessna 182 and taken on an adventure which would shape the rest of my life. My earliest memory of flying with Dad, I was about three years old, doing this on his lap in his Cessna. Early on, I was given many opportunities that most pilots could only dream of. Spending Saturdays here at Springs in the good old days when it was really busy. The Harvard Club down the road, Kyle and I playing in the oil pans and hangar, and spending time with my grandfather and my dad around the airplane that they loved so much. Later on, riding in the back seats of the Flying Lions Harvards to air shows all around the country as Dad's trusted co-pilot. I got first-hand experience of what it was like to be a pilot. All this time spent with Dad, he was fine-tuning my flying skills, and was not just I'll start that again. Dad was not just a pilot, he was an aviator. An aviator is an artist in love with flight, rather than a pilot who's just a technician, basically. I hope that he passed that skill on to me. I like to think he did anyways. As far back as I can remember, all I ever wanted to do was be a pilot. And boy, did Dad do everything in his power to help me achieve my goals. After all, it was his fault. From getting my private pilot's license before I could drive, becoming a professional pilot, progressing through the ranks as a competition aerobatic pilot, and my personal favorite, flying the collection of aircraft my dad created. Dad was always the first to push me forward and encourage me to just shoot for the stars. I'm sure at some stage Dad was living vicariously through me with my airline career, which, as Carl mentioned, was a childhood dream of his. I will live it for him. Last year I was lucky enough to tick number one. Sorry. Last year I was lucky enough to tick number one off of my bucket list before it was too late. Flying Harvards with Dad. Making it even more special was the fact that the two aircraft that we flew were both flown by my grandfather in the 50s while he was in the Air Force. Putting a cherry on this cake was being able to share this flight with Carl and Rose. I could stand here and tell you flying stories for hours, having spent my whole life in the air with Dad. But I won't do that. I'll end on hopefully a lighter note. It was 2019 at Sandstone, which some of you may know, some of you may not. It's estate in the Free State, which is like a massive playground for us. Steam trains, old cars, tanks, and us in our aeroplanes. 2019, it rained a hell of a lot, so we termed it Slosh Stone. Driving back to our accommodation one night, after a couple of beverages, Dad, Jacques, who's over there, and a couple of the other older gentlemen were in the big Vito bus, while us young people were put in the Land Rover. With Duncan, who's standing over there, this was 4 years ago, so he was probably 18 or 19, in the driver's seat. We wanted to get home, but the Vito bus driver didn't really want to get home, so they're driving really slowly. So we saw an opportunity to overtake around a corner. Went around the corner, all of us in the car shouting at Duncan, overtake, overtake, overtake. Floors it, goes into a puddle. Massive puddle, just mud everywhere. Can't see out of our window. The fancy new Vito on our left-hand side, can't see out their window. They're covered in mud, and we are just dying of laughter. The Vito stops, everyone gets out, we just carry on driving. No, I'm just talking, I've lost my place, so whatever, it doesn't matter. We get to our accommodation, Dad and them got there first somehow. We get in behind them and we look at them in their face and they are like mad. They're so cross with us. But we are like, this is the best thing we've ever done. So we all fall out of the Land Rover laughing, and then you can see Jacques and Dad, they sort of see how much fun we had with it, and they just kind of started having fun with it too, because it was pretty funny. And that's what I think about Dad, is he was always the happiest when everybody else was happy. And this place here, and Sandstone, used to bring Dad lots of happiness. All of this would not have been possible if it wasn't for Dad's passion for flying, his determination in business, and his love for his family. So yeah, that's as far as I got, so I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, have a nice day. Thank you.
I'd like to call up Shannon.
This is very daunting. Gavin always made the speeches in our families, but I am the older sister, so I had to put on my big girl pants and I have to do it. It's not supposed to be like this. Gavin was a beloved brother, uncle, and great uncle. He was larger than life, and we believed that he would fight this dreaded disease and win. We couldn't imagine that anything else could happen. Why he was brought back in August to suffer, we will never know. But it gave us a chance to spend quality time with him. It was a difficult time for those who loved him to see the extent of his suffering, especially for Rose. Rose, he was so thankful for everything you did for him. He told us that on numerous occasions. He said to me one day, without Rose, I would have been bleeped. He never generally swore, but he did that day, and I was quite surprised. But that explained his gratitude. We are so sad that you won't grow old together. He was so happy with you. Stephen Carl, he was so proud of you. He told me that all the time. Scotty, he was so proud of you too. And how you stepped up and kept the business running. We are here for you guys. On a lighter side, and according to our mother, Gavin was a naughty little bugger. But he was the blue-eyed boy, I have to say. Once he broke some bottles and then proceeded to walk on them, resulting in a visit to the ER on either Christmas or New Year's Eve, I can't remember. He climbed on the roof of our house and walked along the peak. He climbed the tallest tree in the garden and gave our neighbors many anxious moments. In fact, the same neighbor met my mom later because they moved away, and she said to my mom, "Did Gavin survive?" He climbed up the ladder of the council workers who were painting the light poles after my mom left him for a few minutes to answer the phone. He was barely 2. One day at Tambo, then Jan Smuts, he ran onto the apron, being chased by a policeman. Those were the days before security. When the policeman brought him back to a very embarrassed parent, he then opted to take Gavin on a tour of the airport. He took my dad's Jaguar when he was 15 and went off on a joyride around Springs when my parents were on an overseas trip. He smashed up all his dinky cars with a brick, he and a friend. And the only one that survived was a red London bus, which I'm sure he's still got somewhere, because my dad said, "That's it, you are never getting another dinky ever. Have you got the red bus?" Yeah, I thought so. So you may not know, but Gavin had a beautiful voice as a young boy, and he sang in the Anglican church choir. Can you imagine Gavin in a little choir boy outfit? He did. It was my dad's absolute best to sit and listen to him singing "Climb Every Mountain" with me accompanying him on the piano. We even played duets together. He loved music, and as soon as my mom was out of the house, the volume was turned up and the roof nearly blew off. Gavin was always meant to fly. Our dad was a pilot, and his brother also. We grew up with the sound of Harvards droning in the sky. On a weekend, we would go with my dad and park outside the Donata Flying School to watch the planes. As children, we built planes out of blankets and chairs, not forts or houses. Donna and I would be in the back with our dolls, and he would be flying the plane, wearing my dad's leather flying helmet, which is probably, have you still got that? Yeah, I'm sure. Of course, we fought, as siblings do, breaking a window during one argument. I was always able to beat him up until he took up judo. Then I had to watch my step. The two of us proceeded to terrorize our younger sister, as siblings do. That's why she's got problems. Gavin had a wonderful sense of humor and a sense of fun. For Taryn's 30th birthday, he bought a shimmery purple dress and came dressed as a tart for her tea party with makeup and jewelry. He looked, I wish I had a picture, I can't find the picture. He had names for everyone in the family. Donna was always Nutty. There, it explains it. Nutty or Nuts. He christened Taryn Tazbaz. Lethe, well, Lethe Lou. Lorna was Sparky. Carl, Bob. Bevan, Beeve. And Boris, Boris. I was just plain Sis. I'm sure many of you have been given names by him too. My mom called Gavin Joe Soap. I don't know why, but she always called him Joe Soap from when he was little. To her dying day, she would ask me if I'd talk to Joe. We have lost a brother. Sadly, we have lost 2 brothers in a year. Bevan's brother Grant passed away in April last year. Bevan and Gavin were great friends, partners in business, and spoke often, bouncing ideas off each other. Bevan is going to miss the "how's it beeve" on phone calls. He was an amazing uncle and great uncle. Our grandchildren loved him, especially his Captain Beschmickel persona, which he inherited from my dad, where Captain Beschmickel is coming to get you and tickle you, and the children used to love it. I asked Taz and Leith what they think when remembering him, his laugh, and then he always said, "Spot you round like a donut," when leaving. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. I know that he's going to leave a hole in many hearts, especially Stevie, Carl, Scotty, Rose, and family, and the flying community of which he was such an integral part. When I used to phone him, because I'm quite an emotional person, I used to be quite sad talking to him in the later days, and he always said to me, "Don't get sad and dark on me." You've probably heard that too. So all I can say now is, spot you round like a donut, Gav. And everybody here, don't get sad and dark. Then I have to read this from Gavin's 91-year-old godmother. She sent this to be read. Gavin's mom and I met on our first day of high school, so I can claim to have known Shannon, Gavin, and Donna since before they were born. When Gavin was born, Shannon came to stay for the 10 days a new mother spends in a maternity home. This became Gavin's mission, was to stay with Cliff and Mavis. When Donna was born, he was ecstatic, not because he had another sister to love, but because he was going away for 10 days. He was a chubby, lovable 4-year-old, and with much of his days taken up with food. One morning, plastic mug in hand, he was getting antsy for tea. He loved tea. I'm sure everybody knows he used to have it in a beer mug. The bus to the Sunday school picnic was hardly underway, and I was confronted with, "Mavis, where is that food you were talking about?" Nearer the 10th day, he decided to live with us forever, because every house needs a boy. The years moved on, and Gavin and his interests grew. His dad was into flying, and this became Gavin's passion. That is why we are here today, to let his spirit take off and fly, fly, fly. After all, when all is said and done, I say, thank you, dear Gavin, for being my beloved godson. My love flies with you.
Rodney, if
Thanks. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rodney Chin, close friend of Gavin. Now, I've been asked to talk about the Saturday playgroup that we had. It's been a long-standing tradition here at Classic Collection. Officially meeting from 7 o'clock in the morning for those that are flying, and the rest would slowly trickle in during the day up to 9, 10, 11. Arnie used to arrive at 12 o'clock. But Gavin was sneaky. I'd arrive at about 6:45, be coming down the road here, and I see there goes a tiger or an oyster or something. He hasn't let me know. He had contacted Renier the night before. Renier, where are you? Identify yourself. There he is at the back. Okay? The night before, and arranged a 5:30 hangar arrival here, airborne at 6 o'clock for the dawn patrol. I must pay tribute to Renier, who single-handedly opens these hangar doors, and he shuffles around up to 10 aircraft on his own. With that little skinny body of his, I want to know how he does that. But there's a reward in it for Renier. Renier would get a ride in a tiger, a stamp, an oyster, a chippy. I'm sure you're all jealous of that. Yeah. Some days there were 3 to 4 aircraft that were flown before the rest of us arrived to start flying aircraft. Once I'd cracked this early morning system of Gavin's, I started driving very, very early to Bolu from Randkiesfontein, where I lived. It was about 14 kilometers, and used to accompany Gavin here to Springs. We would discuss all sorts of aviation-related matters during the drive, including sorting out the problems at the CAA. but the CAA didn't respond. We used to reminisce a lot, accompanied by Gavin's choice of old classic songs. What I often heard was ABBA singing, "I Have a Dream." And Gavin would speak of his retirement dream of being surrounded by his old Aries. Now, Gavin would arrive at the hangar, sometimes stop in hangar 8 for a coffee, which Renee had supplied. But as he walked in here, his words in a loud voice, "Hello, girls." And it would be followed by "cool bananas." There was no modern wokeness from Gavin, make no mistake. These were girls, and they would be called girls and ladies. During the course of the day, you would go to each individual aircraft. I'd see him talking to the lady, discussing the latest snags, service requirements like tire pumping, magnetos, oil leaks, radio problems, which one tends to have with old ladies. But Rose, Gavin wasn't faithful on a Saturday. There were lots of other ladies. I think you know that. It didn't stop with the Aries here in the hangar. Gavin had those other old ladies down there, which all longed for his attention. There's one such lady, quite a recent one, that's always green with envy. She's quite young, born in the early 70s, I believe. Her full name is Morris Garage. Now, what a name to give a lady, Morris Garage. What is that? But we all know her as MG, that little sports MG. Originated in the UK under the stable of the Morris Garage franchise. Then there's Harry Ferguson's creation. His first creation was on the 6th of July, 1946. Two of them standing out here. Indigenous South African name is Val Japay, the Falyapi. Very grey looking and temperamental old lady that Gavin adored. And then from Plymouth, there's a lady with whom there's unfinished business. Jacques, where are you? Please identify yourself. Jacques, the Plymouth, eh? And there's also another fair lady, that white Fairchild. Needs finishing, please. Okay. Don't ignore their cries for help. Between flying and copious cups of coffee, Gavin would visit the paint shop. Cool bananas, as he walked out, was always the comment. Then in Grant and my hangar, where I have that yellow Peril Aronca in residence, and unless she was flying that day, she'd be parked in the hangar or else parked outside waiting for Gavin to take her for a spin. Again in the hangar, we always received cool bananas. Also in that hangar, there's a bit of a monstrosity there. I never heard cool bananas from Gavin, just a shake of the head and the comment, "For that sort of money, you can buy a lekker little Airy." Are you taking note, Jacques? That big monstrosity of a boat. No cool bananas. There's more coffee. Next, Gyro Denise's hangar full of gyrocopters. After the appropriate ums and ahs, inspections, this collection elicited a half-hearted, questionable, unconvincingly, softly uttered cool bananas again. Another coffee. Sometimes he'd break and have tea, but it was mainly coffee here. And we would stop in TC's hangar. TC is Turbo somebody. Can you identify yourself? There the man is. We'll be polite today and call him Turbo Chris. He would leave that hangar with another cool bananas. Then the big event of the day was always the medieval banquet. Turns were taken regarding the catering. Arnie would be late, a late arrival around midday in a Harvard, the Cessna 185, or 140. Arnie, are you here? Where's you? Right at the back there. Thanks, Arnie. But accompanying Arnie, sometimes he came in his Mercedes, he was normally accompanied by 24 feet of boerewors. That's from about that wall to here, and 24 bread rolls. Then there was the standard non-planned impromptu meal, was either pizza from across the road at Yankees here, or the speciality of the house was the Heart Foundation approved Russians and chips from Plus Plus down the road. It's about 2 kilometers down the road, and if any of you wish to partake in fine dining, go down there. And Russians and chips, 13 pack. We used to buy 2 13 people packs. Cool bananas. There's normally sufficient food for about 20, but sometimes there are only 8 of us in attendance. This was no problem. Any excesses were always vacuumed up by Oom Piet. Waar's Oom Piet? You're here today. There he is at the back. Oom Piet, who's our specialist storeman, or else a nameless SAA Boeing Airbus engineer. His specialized trade there at SAA was fuel tank scavenge systems, which he applied here very successfully, and the leftovers would disappear without a trace. I just have to mention something at Middelburg. We all flew down to Middelburg for an event, and we were to sleep in tents. And it's those little one-man jobbies that come in a little pack. When Piet got his tent, and he unfolded it, and then you stick all the little pieces in. You got the framework, and then you put the canvas over, whatever that material is, and then after that comes a waterproof, rain-repellent cover. Right, now to digress a bit, some of us geriatrics, we have plumbing problems with the waterworks. I include myself. Anyway, we watched this tent go up, and next thing it started moving around, and it left the ground, and it spun around, it did a few tap dances, it pirouetted, and then it collapsed on the grass. We had to send in an engineering team with heavy equipment to get Oom Piet out of it because the guy ropes were tied around his neck, his ankles, his arms. Anyway, they managed to extract him. Now, we still think that he thought the waterproofing must go on the inside of the tent, where it should have gone on the outside. Anyway, Piet gave up, and he went to the area of the ablution blocks, and on a bench, he had repacked the tent into its bag. He used that as a pillow, and a sleeping bag he wrapped around him and spent the night on a bench there. Some Saturdays, the playgroup would fly off early with several Aries for breakfast at exotic destinations, such as Rhino Park, Heidelberg, Parijs, Kitty Hawk, Panorama, and Tranquility. That always elicited a cool bananas. Gavin, your retirement dream has been fulfilled many other people's dreams. So many of us are able to be around and flying these beautiful classic aircraft thanks to your vision. Continuing ABBA, I Have a Dream, and further in that song, I Believe in Angels. Now I believe in angels, me. I've been informed that there's a lot of changes there at the pearly gates to heaven. In order to get your angel wings, St. Peter requires an online application, photo ID, FICA, RICA, valid driver's license, proof of residence. Then you have to pass a selection board, followed by a simulator check. If all this is acceptable, then a 3-month training course for the wings. But Gavin is very lucky. He's already fully qualified with wings, and he will be accepted and fast-tracked as a DEC. A DEC is a direct entry captain. He's being assigned to the old-timers flight, where the different squadrons are headed by Wilbur and Orville in R&D, that's research and development. Overwater safety and security by Louis Blériot. Dead-wrecking navigation by Charles Lindbergh. High-speed flight by Chuck Yeager. Then a reformist who heads up the cats and cars there, being none other than Douglas Bader. And multicultural affairs by Santos Dumont. I wonder whether Dumont is going to understand Gavin's approval of something with the phrase bananas frio. Sailor Malone will probably be puzzled by ice-coat pisangs. Gavin will undoubtedly be assigned to managing the Saturday playgroups, flying and entertainment. So Gavin, spread your wings there. We wish you light tailwinds on all your flights and happy landings. And Gavin, from all of us, thank you. It's been an honor knowing you. We all love you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney. I'd like to introduce Yapi, Gavin's longtime friend. Here he comes. While Yapi's coming up, we're going to be doing an open mic after Yapi, so if any of you have a fond memory that you would like to share with about Gavin, or a story that you would like to share, we'd love to hear it. And so straight after Yapi, we'll be doing that.
I think I need that water. Isn't there something stronger? Okay. What a privilege to be someone that has been a friend of Gavin's for 50 years. And he mine. My parents moved to Springs in 1971. I was doing my army training, and they moved into number 3 Davis Drive. Hey, thanks. They moved into number 3 Davis Drive, which was the neighbor's house to the Browns at number 1 Davis Drive. Straight out of the 9 months that I came out of the army, that last intake, I got a job and I left. Gavin was at Potch Boys High as a boarder. And he arrived that Christmas, and as we've heard and seen what kind of a guy he is, he just marched across and came and introduced himself to the neighbors. Gavin was 14. I was 80. The friendship really actually took off, I would say, more towards the end of 72, but in 73, which would be now, the 50 years. And in 1974, he'd come across, and he was at home in our house, and I was at home in their house. And my mom used to cook the proper boerekos, because a Jooster next to a Soutie, there was a little bit of a food difference. So Gav fell in love with the boerekos and loved the sweet pumpkin and the sweet potatoes. Now, in Afrikaans, it's not called a soet patat, it's called a patat. But my mom made it so sweet that it is the real name of sweet potato. If you have a sweet potato, it's not sweet. When the old lady made it, it was sweet. So much so that he liked that Mrs. Brown came across and said, Rita, could you please teach me how to cook the stuff? Because Gavin, he has to have it. The picture is this, that having moved there from Natal, and a banana boy in the valley, there was also a bit of a gap, like the Afrikaans and the English. However, even with the age gap, Gavin and I clicked. That 74, lots of things happened. But anyway, in 74, my parents invited him. Now, he just got back from Potch, and he was going to do his 9 in matric at Springs Boys High. So, end of Standard 8, having become an extension of the family, we invited Gavin to go on a caravan holiday. And off we went to Winkelspruit. We had a glorious time. It was just one of those things where friendships just are extended and secured and bonded. The following year, I had to go to the army and do a border camp. And now this is where Gavin comes in. In 76, he marches across to my old lady and says, Mrs. Jooster, where are we going on holiday this year? And she says, Gav, we'd like to go back to Winkelspruit, but we don't have a caravan, because the one that we used in 74 belonged to the company my dad worked for, and they lent it to us to go. And he marched out. I tell you what, it wasn't 2 weeks. He came back, he says, you can book. We're going to Winkelspruit. Bevan's dad has agreed to let us use his magnificent Jurgens. Die ding is van hier af tot daar, so groot. The Valiant could hardly pull the thing. But you see what kind of a guy. There is a youngster, and that is what made him what we all know him to be. The kindness of him, everyone's spoken about, but in 77 I met my wife Heather, and this romance on the telephone wasn't working so lekker. So the July of 77, I said to Gav, and he I don't know if he was where he was working at the time, but he was studying. I said, do you feel like a trip to Rhodesia? Yes, I'm in. Middle of the year, 2 weeks off we go. The same kind of situation. When our wedding date was set for October, I said, Gav, do you think you could get more time off? He said, no question. I'll make a plan. So Gav and I drove in 2 cars, and I said to him, I would like to ask you to be my best man. So we went, had a glorious wedding, got really introduced to the people who play the bagpipes. It was a Scottish wedding of note. That Gavin, at the time he'd broken his finger with polo, and he had this massive splint, and he was dancing with everybody, just being Gavin Brown. So, fast forward, you've all heard, we've all seen what he's achieved. But for me to have been able to be part, as a young guy, and in those days had an influence on him, sometimes not all that good. But then I must also say, what Shannon didn't say is when the folks were overseas on overseas trips, that house was a party joint of note. I mean, cars parked up and down that street. So I wasn't the only naughty oak. Anyway, so just to say, I really appreciate the opportunity to have been able to share this, and I will treasure that because it's special. And I say the same to you. Farewell.
Thank you, Yapi. Well, we're going to pass the mic around. If anyone feels they would like to share a memory, a fond memory, or story of Gavin that you have, or just a saying that Gavin has. I know he had so many. If you would just raise your hand, and while you're doing that, I'm just going to share some other eulogies that came in. Yeah, so there's a floating mic. If you just raise your hand, we will get Nelson over there. Okay, before you start, let me just share this tribute from Dev, Gavin's business partner and longtime friend, Brenda, Kerry, Tracy, and Ryan. Gavin has been part of our lives for 43 years. We spent many hours together here at Springs Airfield. Our aircrafts were here, and in the early days, Gavin was flying a Cessna 182. Later, Gavin became involved with the Harvard Club, and together over the years, Dev and Gavin have built up a unique collection of aircraft. Later, Dev and Gavin became involved in business together, first with Watex, then later Reinforced Hosing. Gavin went on to be managing director of the factory at Krugersdorp. He has always been a dedicated and steadfast partner. We have watched Steve and Carl grow up and know that Gavin was proud of the men they have become. Dev is going to miss Gavin tremendously as they were in contact every day. Till we meet again in our forever hangar in the sky, rest in peace, our friend. Thank you, Dev. Nelson?
I greet you all people here in the name of Jesus. I don't know what to say because many people there talk about Mr. Brown. I was calling him Mr. Brown. He was a great man. He was a good man to his workers. I worked with him at Shemdo. Mr. Dave and Brown bought shower design. When they bought shower design, they take all the material of shower design and us. They take all us in Chemdo. I have been working there since from 97 until 2016 when he said, Nelson, you are too old now. You can't drive anymore. I said, yes, but you must give me money to go home. Because I can't go home to sit like this. And I thanked Terry always when somebody passes here, because I'm from always to Mpumalanga now, because because when she told me Brown has passed away, and when Brown was in the hospital, I was phoning, but I can't get hold of Brown. My heart, it was not all right. Mr. Brown, he was a very good man, but when you are not good for him, he wasn't good for you. Yeah.
That's when you cut the mic.
Yes, yes, yes. And Brown, when you ask something, he was giving. And I asked to my boss, Mr. Howard, hey, I want money. He said, going to speak to Gavin. That's why I'm from Mpumalanga to here to see a memory of Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, I can talk until the sun goes. Mr. Brown, he was a good man. And when somebody for you at home pass away, he was listening. I remember my sister passed away. I said, I have got no money to go. He gave me the money. Now, the man like Mr. Brown, I said, Mr. Brown, we will remember you. We will always remember you. Steve and Carly, you must hold in your father's idea, because your father and Mr. Dave, I thank you to have a daughter like Carrie. Carrie, she has got a nice respecting other people. I said to you, Carrie, I don't want to talk when you pass away, like now Brown is passed away. You can't hear me now. But I talk about he was a good man, he was what. And your father, he was good for me. Until now, Mr. Dave, you are very good for me. You support me, but I'm not working at you anymore. But you support me. You give me the house. I have got a house here in Joburg, in Vosloorus. That house, Mr. Dave built that house the time he has got a contract.
Amazing.
There was a good people, him and Mr. Howard. Now I say, rest in peace, Mr.
Thank you, Nelson. We also got this message that came in from the Sandstone Heritage Trust. They say here are a few words from myself in the event that there is an opportunity to read out. The Sandstone Heritage Trust will miss Gavin Brown as a very special individual. We will miss his friendship, his stature, and his professionalism. He was the founder and the spiritual leader of the classic flying collection. We at Sandstone knew that whenever we had a major event, we could rely on Gavin to bring his team of aviators down to thrill the crowds, to laugh with us, and to make a very special and magical contribution to any event, big or small. We will miss Gavin more than people will realize, but we also know that he has left a legacy that will live on through Steve and the rest of the team who work so well together. We were touched that Gavin managed to find the strength to come down and spend a couple of hours with us over the Easter festival. I personally have liked to have spent more time with him. I do not think most of us realized that he was as sick as he turned out to be, because obviously he was gone shortly thereafter. In bidding him farewell, we recall with heartfelt thanks his huge contribution to our own endeavors over the years. We also extend a hand of friendship and cooperation to the wonderful team that he leaves behind, who we know will continue to work with us to advance the cause of heritage aviation in South Africa. That's from Wilfred Mole from the Sandstone Heritage Trust. Is anyone else that would like to share a few words? We'd like to keep it to 2 minutes max. Anyone else?
G'day folks. Those that don't know me, Colonel Keith Fryer, Director Safety, South African Air Force. I'd like to thank the family, Rose, Carl and Stevie, for the awesome contributions that Gavin gave us in the last 5 or 6 years that I've been involved in air shows in the South African Air Force. Those of you that were at the air show on the weekend, we had the 3 flights up there, the Chippies, the Tigers and the Oysters. And I'd like to belated thank you and thank Gavin for his awesome generosity to the South African Air Force during all of our major events of the past. So from the South African Air Force, I'd like to thank all the people here today as well for showing respect. Respect is a military thing. And Rose and the family and all loved ones and friends, look at this great respect that you've got here. I thank you. Happy to meet, sad to part. Happy to meet again. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to say a few words? Okay, thank you. I think it was really special just hearing all the eulogies today, and I want to thank you again for taking the time to be a part of today's ceremony. Let us continue to honor Gavin's legacy by living our lives with the same sense of passion, generosity, and the love that he embodied. And in the words of Gavin Brown, you be good now. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. So what's going to happen now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to filter out through the back. We're going to be led by the piper, who's going to play for us. And then there's going to be one final flyover. And what makes this flyover special is it's going to be the missing man formation. And so the missing man formation is an aerial salute performed as part of the flyover by formation of aircraft. And the missing man is going to be done by Gavin's son, Steve. So as we lead out, we can go and enjoy the missing man formation. There's also tea and coffee and snacks at the back. Bathrooms are across the way. But again, thank you so much for joining us today.
There's a camera mic on the side of the suitcase.
That's good. It's very short. Yeah. In case we missed that first one.
Oh, pretty quick. Did you see where they come from? Not yet.
Why not? It's bloody so. Videos are going.
So you already had
Okay.
That's amazing. That'd be amazing. That is the whole fun. It's the ultimate. And if she wants to do it, that's even better. Yeah, listen, we could do that too. She could start there and then be Miss, do you like some retirement policy? Retirement policy. Be an investment in the future. No, I'm still
Yeah, that one. You see anything?
Yeah. stand by. In case they come back again. Yeah. The idea is to have the missing man. So
I just tried and
what happened to the stand?
I think they are loose.
It got loose.
Yeah.
Move. Let me move this side. Because this people don't want to move. So I can put my own umbrella without stress.
How are
Yeah. Is it still on auto?
Yeah. This photo is not auto right now.
Oh,
maybe,
maybe put. It's quite bright that side. Let me see. Oh. Yeah, much better.
So sold my house in the job. Just sold my house and then took off.
Goedendag. Zie jij like?
Kijk, eigenlijk is het waarom
Yeah, it's an F-L. So it's just for the small one. Oh, yeah. I think maybe the BS they can go at least those ones. Thank you so much. So I wanted to find out, but I see Kyle and but for now, are we still continuing on the stream because it's just people eating, or we can have just a few minutes play the slideshow and then start eating. Especially how we eat. Just wait for it. Rather than once we go inside, hot.
I'm like, why? These faces are so familiar.
We don't have a shot. Maybe let's go this way.
Oh, you take that.
Thank you. This one, eh? Yeah? Yeah, they're there.
Ja, Gavin. Come and put in. This is my boy, Jason. Gavin. Well, the kidneys and kidneys aren't far apart. Only
surrounding speaking council, eh?
Our little 4-month-old friend that's just hospital. Not pneumonia. Just probably 4 months old.
Oh, yeah?
Thanks.
That's my brother. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Video you're not.
Yeah,
I'll be on
busy with the second.
Oh, cool.
Then Davis was in. And then there was some other little
India needs to be off.
All right.
That guy.
we're like, you're
if you have money for marketing. I've been signed to I'm talking about second. My friend is good. She good for you. That's how we do it. So that's license. So how do
Give me all Friday, I'm going to take us for us and
Oh,
No, you actually also family, so you get somebody else to take the photo. Give it to anyone else.
I'm not a house.
Cheeseburgers.
I'm going to take my whole lot. I'm taking lots, so you got to come in.
So are you all going? Mary doesn't forget. I'm not now. I just
Sometimes people don't see
Brother. You sing as well. You didn't pick up the G.
No. Took the voice.
Yes, I know.
And you on this?
When you see you again, please
You'll talk. We'll talk about it. You got lots on your mind. Take it easy.
Mom, the bar's open.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So in and out.
Are you riding?
Think about this.
Like 3 weeks away.
Oh, in the States as well. We're gonna make a plan for
Roses outside.
Listen, I'll never stand up. Yeah, cry. I would cry. Yeah, I know you can like cry in it, I get that. But like still, like more like acceleration. Like the speed, it seems like a point of flight. We can know, There's no more like lift, is it? Yeah, like it would none of that because it's just slow, I have a heart attack.
I think they're not speaking. Oh, yeah.
Steve, how long are you around for?
Like we're here or?
Yeah.
Vibe. 100% vibe. Is that the bar?
Yeah, it's this real flipping juxtaposition of like if South African facilitated years ago, same thing. Financial suicide to do it. Laura, how's my life for you? That's your guys. Cheers, Stevie. We're not joking.
I'll do the same thing.
Where would you want to?
I was gonna go.
Yeah, the legends also start. So yeah, a lot to watch. I don't know. I wouldn't have gone from
No result in that